Hello and welcome back to the Academy of the Magical Art. I am Frederick Ophiel, and today we are going to be discussing the second sight, ways to navigate through our lives and through our paths. One's ability to see both the things that make us up, the things that comprise us, and the tools that we're given, and one's ability to see the world around us from our present perspective, looking backward or forward, is very essential and crucial to achieving optimum success. There are many forms of divination, some of the most defined of which being our numerology, our astrology, and our palmistry. 2 out of 3 of those subjects I've discussed already. You can find information on numerology and astrology in their designated folders. Palmistry is something that we will get into at a later time. We also have other oracular devices, things like the tarot or oracle cards, runes, which can be used in 2 different ways. They can be drawn and placed, or they can be cast. Dice, tea leaves, using casting stones such as Urim and Thummim, casting bones. All of these would be considered oracular devices that we can utilize to take a surveillance of our present positions, present circumstances within our own lives and the lives of people around us. Many would recommend not doing that without another person's consent. That I find to be a matter of opinion. I'm under the impression that if somebody is intertwining themselves with my life and I'm choosing to intertwine myself with their lives, being able to take a non-biased glance at what is going to result from that is, in my opinion, advised, because sometimes people have a tendency to get themselves into situations or relationships with people that are not necessarily for their best good, and the ability to see that coming before the train wreck happens and get yourself out of the way is exactly why we have these tools in the first place. To expound upon Urim and Thummim a little bit, these are 2 stones that are generally placed in a bag. One stone is black, one stone is white. They are very definitive, yes and no. Make them the same shape, the same size. And in having a question about something, if you want a definitive yes or a definitive no, you just shake the bag around a little bit, open it up, dump out a stone, and the first stone to fall out is your answer on what you should go with. Or you would say the determination of the situation is cloudy or it is clear. If it is cloudy, obviously you should not proceed. If it is clear, the path is one that can be tread upon without any serious worry of repercussion. The art of dowsing is one that many people find useful and beneficial, both through the use of pendulums. Pendulum work is very, very common. A pendulum is a tool that many beginners of the craft find themselves picking up early to familiarize themselves with the process of divination and scrying, and as a way to kind of help them get used to or get in touch with the etheric side or with their subconscious mind and make determinations. Dowsing rods are both useful in determining yes and no answers to things based on how they move within the hand. Life will give us many different signs as we're walking down our path as well. Things will orchestrate themselves per the Hermetic principle of synchronicity that allow us the glimpse of etheric repercussions filtering through to the other side. So many people will look at the way a candle burns or the way a cloud forms. They'll see a cat crossing their path a certain way, or they'll watch the way they pour their cream in their cup of coffee in the morning. And as a result of those things, they'll make determinations or see signs of certain foretellings that are coming down the path. I personally am fond of scrying, which can take place in many different mediums. Some people will stare into a candle flame. Other people will use smoke. Many people use mirrors, black mirrors, obsidian mirrors, or other reflective surfaces, such as tinfoil or spoons. We find very commonly crystal balls, water, through the use of a bowl, a water pan, or just staring into a river or another body of water. A lot of people will stare into light shining against a wall or shadows in a wall. But scrying is really when we take this second sight, we take this art of divination to the next level, because you're not using a tool or a medium to communicate or to divine the answer to a question or to receive a sign or a symbol. Rather, you're actually starting to use that second sight, that third eye, in a more clearly defined way. The art of seeing is something that takes time to familiarize yourself with many people. There are individuals that are born with this sight, that see through the veil from the point of being knee-high to a grasshopper all the way to adulthood. Very gifted intuitives that are able to communicate with forces on the other side and just have a natural inkling to divination. This is one of the tools that they were given so that they would be able to bring something to the table of which they belong, the spirit family. Every clan or every group of people is supposed to have a seer, a prophet, or a prophetess of some form, communicator between them and the other side. Ayana Rain happens to be one of those people. If you look at a couple of her videos, she talks about being a child and having this sight. She talks about what it is like being raised having such occurrences. However, other people, such as myself, had to learn to use it, and I find this very akin to going to the gym and making a muscle stronger. I had to repetitively practice and work in order to open up certain channels within my subconscious mind and allow these messages to go from my subconscious mind to my conscious mind. So I personally like to use a black mirror. My mirror is concave. I actually got one of those old parabolic picture frames with the bubble glass and turned it into a black mirror, mainly because there are some who will say that one can see the truth of reality when it is looked at upside down. You'll find that this is also true when you stare into a spoon. It's very interesting how messages change the way that they come through, going from a flat surface, a concave surface, and a convex surface. Another reason why I am partial to the concave black mirror is you can see and feel your energy being projected to this tool and it being gathered in that pool area or the bowl of the mirror and projected back. Using mirrors for divination is something that I could and most probably will make an entire different video on in time to come, because there are different things that go with it. Many magicians like to assign a spirit to their mirror as a guardian. Some people will paint runes around theirs in a classical ceremonial fashion. Other people do different things to create this reflective surface that they want to use for scrying. So there's a lot of different opinions and ways to go about this that will be discussed in more depth. Back to kind of working that muscle and progressing through different ways to use this second sight, going from oracular tools to scrying to speaking with etheric spirit, mediumship. We also have things such as receiving messages through premonition, lucidly while awake or while in dream state, remote viewing, lucid dreaming, astral projection. Although the lucid dreaming and the astral projection border more on the side of journeying to receive messages, it is still indeed a way to divine and to gain light and knowledge into situations in your life. These are practices that are a little bit more advanced. I suggest much research or even learning from another individual who is skilled and practiced in these things, ear to mouth, rather than just trying to fumble through and figuring it out on your own. I've watched a couple of the videos that get produced on YouTube just because one of my teenagers likes to play on YouTube and will say, hey, check this out. Some of the stuff that I hear coming out of these people's mouths just blows me away. So make sure that you really gather a lot of knowledge and information and kind of sift the grain from the chaff, if you will. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater because you hear a whole lot of nonsense, but don't accept a whole lot of nonsense just because there's a couple of pearls of wisdom in there as well. It's important to use a lot of discernment when dealing with practices in areas such as these. So do be careful and tread with caution. I will, however, discuss how to get into some scrying a little bit and get a little bit more proficient in it. The processes to do these are rather easy, actually. First and foremost, obviously, you want to find yourself a place that you can go and be undisturbed for 20 minutes to 30 minutes, I'd say at least. Make sure that you create a sacred space within that area. Put some protection up for yourself. Ask whatever guides or guardians that you may or may not work with, or angels, to come and be present and to stand watch over you, because at this point you are opening yourself up. You are opening up your psychic channels, and you want to make sure that the area that you're working with is clean and protected, and that while you are in this, although it is a heightened state, it is a lower state to physical consciousness, you may want to make sure that there is something or someone there standing watch over over you, making sure that there's no nasties coming in and messing with your auric field or energetic body. These three things are very important to be meticulous about. Whether you are scrying, you are attempting to communicate with the other side, either through mediumship, through channeling, or through spirit boards, or your astral project. These are three things that you need to make sure that you take great care in doing. Aside from that, after making sure that these proper things are put in place, really you just want to place yourself into a trance state. You want to get down to an alpha state to start to work in these areas. Different people will find different ways of doing this. A couple of my preferred ways, I think I've discussed in a couple of previous videos, making sure that the lights in the room are really, really low, only lit with 1 or 2 candles. I personally use 2 candles, and I space them 6 to 12 inches apart from each other, and I will stare at the area in the middle. At that point, those 2 flames just kind of blankly staring, blankly looking in that direction, not focusing on any one thing, but having a relaxed gaze. The 2 flames will begin to put you into a trance state for you. You don't really have to do a whole heck of a lot at that point. You just kind of sit there and allow it to take place and allow yourself to drift. However, if you want to take it a step or 2 further, count backwards from 12 twice. That will also trigger the mind and the brain to begin to go into trance. And as you're doing so the second time, not the first time, but the second time, envision yourself walking down a staircase. This can be a straight staircase or a spiral staircase, but either way, descending down something until you reach a point, a door or a barrier or a curtain, and walk through it, knowing that at the point that you walk through it, you are fully engulfed in trance. At that point, you would begin to look into whatever medium you're using to scry. A mirror, a black mirror, some flame, a pan of water, a crystal ball, whatever it is, and just allow whatever to drift through. Some people receive colors at first, some people receive visions, some people just get downloaded with information or knowledge and receive a lot of subconscious impressions without actually physically seeing something in the object, especially at first. So don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes it takes people doing this a couple of times in order for stuff to start becoming visibly or audibly recognizable. Again, this is a muscle. This is something that has to be practiced, and it isn't just picked up and done automatically. Some people, especially those who do have more of a natural inkling towards these things, are able to do that, but for the most part, not so much. Be patient with yourself. Practice at it, and do send in a little bit of feedback, either in a private message or in the comments, on what your results are. Also, as a sidebar, do keep in mind that our online store, IAO Magickal Arts, is online, up and running. Many items for divination, for scrying, so do go check it out. Use coupon code AOTMA for 35% off of your first order of $10 or more. Do stay tuned. In the future, we'll be discussing these forms of divination, such as the cards and the runes, in a little bit further depth. I want to thank you for joining with me today at the Academy of the Magical Art, and until next time, blessed be.